Okay, let's discuss the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. First, let's get the latest from those who are investigating this. This is the latest update from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. They say the department and the FBI continue to work jointly on this case. Our strong partnership is critical, and we remain fully committed to this collaborative investigation. To ensure consistency and streamlined testing, evidence requiring forensic analysis is being sent to the same out-of-state lab that has been utilized since the beginning of this case. The decision was discussed with and agreed upon by local FBI leadership. Evidence. Several gloves have been located during the investigation. The closest gloves were found approximately 2 miles from the home. Reports that a glove was found inside the residence or on the property are inaccurate. All collected evidence has been submitted for laboratory analysis. DNA other than Nancy Guthrie's and those in close contact to her has been collected from the property. Investigators are working to identify who it belongs to. We are not disclosing where that DNA was located. All right, so some new things that we're learning there. Seems that there is some unidentified DNA in the home. It appears that there was not a glove found inside the home. That was something that Fox News Digital reported last night. We do know that the Pima County Sheriff has pushed back against any reports that are indicating that there's a rift between the feds and local authorities during the investigation, so they make sure to make it clear up front that they remain fully committed to this collaborative investigation. They do say that they're sending some of these pieces of evidence out of state. They've been using the same location to do those tests out of state. The decision, they say, was discussed and agreed upon by the FBI. Several gloves have been located. We don't know how many gloves, but they say that the closest one was found about 2 miles from the home. And they just make it clear that no glove was found inside the home, which is something that Fox News Digital, again, was reporting last night. They are refuting that. The Fox flight team is live in Tucson right now. A live look at the Guthrie home. The Fox flight team has been keeping an eye on any and all movements as investigators continue to track the latest in the case. Jamie Copenhaver standing by here with me. Jamie has been a great resource as we've got a lot of questions. We know the viewers also have a lot of questions, Jamie. Before we get to the viewer questions, you were listening as I was reading that update from officials that just came in. So we're learning a little bit more about the investigation. Firstly, what's the significance of them finding and confirming that unidentified DNA is in the home?
Well, I think it's a forward momentum in the case, Austin. You know, it's been speculative that was other blood or fluids in that home other than Nancy Guthrie. But, you know, we've all sat back and speculated and wondered. So, you know, to that, the sheriff just came out today and acknowledged they were unknown fluids or DNA that was located in the Guthrie home. So, you know, at least that gives some confidence in terms of crime scene techs and et cetera on collecting that DNA.
We were talking with TMZ earlier today. They say that they received another email from somebody who claims to know who has Nancy Guthrie. They're asking for money in return for that information. There's no way to know if this is legit or not. This question coming in from Marco in Arizona saying, has forensics been able to trace the origins of the emails being sent to TMZ? Has IT forensics been able to trace the origins of the emails being sent to TMZ? Why is TMZ being emailed rather than Pima County Sheriff's or FBI? The first piece of that, Jamie, is it possible to track the location of where an email was sent from?
Absolutely. And we saw that in the second letter, Austin, when that, that entire FBI unit and local law enforcement went to that house in California and in effect the arrest of the guy that was trying to scam and just good old-fashioned greed of taking money on the Guthrie case. So, yeah, I mean, there's some fraudulent stuff going all around on this case, but luckily for us and the Guthrie family, FBI is on top of that and the analysts are on top of it. So we've seen one arrest affected. I would suggest possibly a second or a third based on giving false information to federal agents on these emails.
So how are they going to be processing the gloves? This statement that was released, it says there's several gloves. How do you make these pieces of evidence as valuable as possible? How do you get the most you can out of them?
You know, we saw that play out yesterday, that black glove that was collected on the side of the roadway. So, agents went out there and very meticulously collected that glove and bagged and tagged it. As it stands now, that glove ended up in a Florida crime lab. So what you're going to do is look for any touch or inside DNA. Keep in mind, if you're putting on a latex glove, you're going to pull that glove off backwards, sort of inside out, if you will. So let's hope in this case, that's how it was removed from whomever wore that glove, and perhaps it saved and preserved some of that DNA and whatever may be in that glove for lab testing. So I have a lot of confidence that they're going to get something from that latest glove yesterday.
Yeah. Emily in New Hampshire says, how quickly will they get DNA results back from the glove and or items within the home?
Yeah, I mean, they quickly identified that blood that was located on the front porch to be Nancy Guthrie's blood. So we know that only took about 2 days. There are crime labs that are going to rush certain parts of this investigation. But unfortunately, I've talked to a couple of crime scene people. Some of the stuff you can't rush. It just takes time, right, for the science. But if it's blood or something like that, they can do a DNA comparison. Keep in mind, they've already taken swabs, I would assume, from the family, friends, and coworkers or service workers that attended that house at the Guthrie. So they have those samples on standby, and all they have to do is compare that to see if it matches anyone that that voluntarily submitted their swabs.
So you and I were texting before we came on air here. Something interesting happening. We're hearing from multiple reports. Fox is reporting this as well. It seems that a mobile command center relating to local SWAT teams down there is being mobilized. We don't have much more than that, but in general, when those things are mobilized, what are they up to?
They're preparing to do either a search warrant, or perhaps, when I hear mobile command center, that perhaps tells me or telegraphs Austin, it could be something evidentiary-wise that they're going out and process in the field. The SWAT element, we've heard multiple reports from some YouTubers that they were following the SWAT van to a certain location. We saw that play out a few nights ago when that individual was detained, and obviously SWAT went in and executed what we understood a warrant to be. So, are we going to see that play out here shortly? To be announced, but certainly someone's on the move out there, which, that gives us great confidence. Let's see this case move forward and hopefully get some results soon.
A live look at Nancy's home, 541 just about in Arizona. Donna with this. Donna asking, have they pulled the black box from the cars that were towed for investigation? They pulled everything from Karen Reed's car in the Reed case. They found out everything and everywhere her car had gone, the times and the speeds, even what was said in the car. Is it possible to get that from most types of cars?
Don, a great question. I haven't heard any of the questions related to the black box on the cars. So, let's go back to I think it was the 5th visit to Annie Guthrie's home. They were in the garage area. They were taking a lot of photographs and processing that garage. So I can assure you that if the vehicles had a black box and it was applicable in this case, they've already downloaded, if you will, or uploaded that data from those cars to perhaps track speeds, locations, etc. Also, in addition to the cars, everyone has a cell phone or some type of device. So it's my understanding the family has been very cooperative in terms of cooperating and giving devices over to federal agents for a data dump, if you will. So, the car and any devices are all at play here. And I'm sure they've already downloaded all the above, which will, once again, eliminate people from the circle of suspects, perhaps.
Yeah. I believe we have another question here ready to roll through. This one coming in from Michelle in Mission Viejo. Michelle asks, have police explored if there's a connection with the Scottsdale home invasion for crypto in which 2 teenagers were potentially extorted into the crime? She posts a link to a local news article. How do police tie things that might have a connection? You could maybe even call it a loose connection. How do police piece pieces of the puzzle together, even when, there's so many local crime cases that happen at any given time in any given jurisdiction, Jamie? So are police exploring possible connections to other crimes that are taking place in other parts of the state?
Absolutely, on all the above. And let's deal with the guy in Scottsdale. I mean, he has devices. He has an IP address. I can assure you they've already researched and did a data dump on what they could on those devices and that individual in Scottsdale. As it pertains to other crimes, I mean, Austin, we've heard rumors of perhaps a peeping Tom that had been in the area prior to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. So, you know, law enforcement is going to go back and look at all past reports, any complaints, and any known suspects in the area that may qualify to be a suspect in this case. And literally, you know, we keep saying they're not going to leave any stone unturned. And that's part of that painstaking investigation, and it takes time. Of course, we have computers that speed things up, but still, you have to go out as a law enforcement official and knock on the door, make contact with these proposed suspects that have committed past crimes. And what you want to do is try to eliminate them from the circle of suspects, if you will. So a lot of work goes into that, a lot of work behind the scenes that we don't see publicly.
You know, I think we've got one more question ready to go here. Let's hit this before we take our next commercial break. Margie asking, was it a forced entry? No one mentions the front door. Was it unlocked? I believe that's going to be something that we'll have to learn more from investigators about eventually. I don't think I've seen anything that talks about the front door, Jamie. What's the range of possibilities that somebody can get into a home?
I mean, we certainly haven't seen any signs of a forced entry or broken door frames, et cetera, from those videos. And, you know, Fox Digital has some great videos that shows that front door. So I don't see any signs of a forced entry. Good question on how do you gain entry to the Guthrie home? It could be something simply as the door may have been left unlocked. We just don't know. But I've not seen any clues, Austin, of a forced entry. We have seen the door ring camera forcibly taken off of the door area, but you know, it's not like they kicked the door in or any damage to the door that I could see.
Jamie Copenhaver is a former sheriff and investigator. Can't thank you for your help. I'm sure we'll be checking in soon, Jamie. Have a good weekend.